Well, hello everybody. This is Mr. Lee David Carter, and I wanted to talk to you about an interesting topic. Basically, um, it's being able to maintain your identity as a trans person. When the, with regards to the complexity of passing. Okay, and when it comes to diversity and inclusion, I thought I'd talk about this topic. So before and after, playing the role for many. They feel like they are acting when it comes to society. Society's view of masculinity, should I say? And many feel, with the beginning of the transition, that they needed to act more masculine, should I say? And they did not want to be outed for many, because I felt like that. I didn't want to be outed. Didn't want people to know from the beginning of the process. And I went through the process over a decade ago. And then, of course, they're concerned about what society or people may think of us, such as the voice or mannerism as a masculine role. And then you have the emotional, the physical, the violence. For many, through the experience, the research, the communication within the trans community itself, all that to deal with. And then you've got the LGBTQ, should I say, for example. One individual that came out, the parents basically sent them to a mental institute, and that individual stayed there for a long period of time, and basically in order to not to be near the parents, should I say. And once that individual had finished school, they moved on, and they didn't want to be near the parents. So there's abuse when it comes received from parents as well. The abandonment, not being accepted, because I've experienced the abandonment part, and that's just one thing. And then of course, who they are. For some, passing is crucial. It's vital for survival. And then you have the issues of bathrooms. You have all that to deal with. I've spoken about this, based on, should I say, the stories, and also based on my own personal experiences, what I've been through, having to use a bathroom, the interviews, the research, whereby some people have been verbally harassed, or they may have been punched in the face. They've come out the toilet, and then of course there's the infection where they're having to hold in their urination because they're too nervous to use the bathroom. And then you got many people, you think of it, the experience and the fear that they get from with society itself, and then getting outed or yelled at because of their trans identity or our trans identity, and which bathroom to go to. Instead of having a gender neutral bathrooms, the funny thing is that many switch over because of this, and they'll go and use the female toilet and go to the toilet, emotionally having to feel like, to pass. And it's a courageous thing to do. And then you have self-esteem, body image, shush, Max, easy, shush. All that as well to deal with. For many, the younger ones going through female puberty, they wish they did not have to go through it. And developing what they, what they don't want, and want to be seen as who they are inside, being able to pass. When they should have gone to, going through this experience of, when they should have gone through that male puberty at an earlier age, which is what I felt I should have gone through. Even being assigned female birth and feeling like the opposite sex male, and having a mismatch. Gender dysphoria, and and then there's low self-esteem, and then although I can relate to that, I've never had low self-esteem as such, but there's many that do, and there's the key point of validation, or wanting attention from people, being validated using social media. This is is inner battles that go on here. Confidence is another thing in passing. And then when you get to that stage, you know, you're no longer at that stage, which I'm not. You know, I just feel like I'm just existing now. I'm living my life as a man, and to me, that's a privilege because I've already been out in the public eye. People already, I've been out public and outed, so I don't feel those feelings anymore. I just exist. It's a privilege for me to live a man and be who I am, and that's how I see it. That's my right. That's how I feel inside. I don't feel those feelings of compared to a decade ago, the feelings that I'm speaking about now, being able to pass, use the toilet, all the feelings and the emotions that I went through. But there are many out there that are going through this or about to go through it, or have been through it, should I say. So, you know, when you get to that stage, you no longer worry about passing in society, you just exist. And this is where I'm at. So you hear about some of the horrible things that people, have said to me. Passing is not a disguise. It's not. And just for people to see you, the way you feel, I am really happy about how I look and being true to myself and having those emotions where I'm not having that kind of fear of passing. I just don't feel those emotions, but there's many that do. And the way I feel, the good feeling of being who I am and who you are and confident is a great place to be in. The concept of passing. You know, you look at different aspects for some, should I say that, if you don't pass, then you're not trans. And I've personally moved on from that to just exist as a male. And many feel that they need to pass and being, should I say, being on hormones, others in the community, should I say, don't feel a need to do that. Many usually, will, should I say, need to feel complete or in alignment with who they are, which I've gone through that experience, and then, who you are, and many feel differently, and then they want to pass, or they need to pass, or even have gender reassignment surgery and wants to have surgery, also need to realise that not everyone has access to that, for whatever reason, not all can access. It could be with doctors, depending on location, what country you're in, or what background, ethic, whatever. They don't have that kind of access to have gender reassignment surgery in order to pass and for them to match with who they are. It could be because of money, safety, could be for family reasons. So all this needs to be considered as well. So there's a specific way to transition, and you go to therapy, you figure it out, and you make an assessment, you start hormones, and then you start the process, you start surgery, reassignment surgery, and then you need to do all that, and then you're trans. And then there's a big issue in the community that people do not understand how you feel in your body or your mind, and the hatred from the community identifying as trans, that that some simply need to be educated when it comes to something like this, and then take that into consideration. Then for some it's not trans enough. You're assigned female at birth, you identify as a butch lesbian, and that's one reaction I've had from people since they find out you're outed in the trans. This was over a decade ago, not understanding, thinking that you're that same person you was assigned for at birth, and defamation of character for that, and then attracted to men, and then others attracted to men or gay men, and I've experienced that as well. I've experienced this, and then I love women. I may have been born female, but I was never butch. I was never a lesbian, should I say, and I've mentioned all this already. I came from a different generation, wasn't heard of or spoken about, and I'm finding myself going around with a bunch, surrounded by lesbians, but really I was in the wrong body, that felt a mismatch, that I just loved women. It's like this little boy inside this foreign body that I'm living in. And, it wasn't even heard of, even spoken about. But, so all those feelings. And then there's a period, I had women, and all my life I was never a lesbian. And I've mentioned this on the Jeremy Kyle show when I appeared on there with my mother. You know, when I mentioned this, the audience couldn't understand it, although they applauded me and felt that it was courageous. To them, the public sees it's a courageous thing to do, but to me, it was just me feeling right and being in the right body and having to do what was right. And it's being able to educate people, because it's a big topic that people do not understand, and you have to educate them for them to understand, or try and understand. You know, you have to be gentle with it and just tell them and explain it to them in the best possible way, making it clear. So for others, you know, you're not trans enough, you give birth to a child, and people seem to think, you know, that that's what they are, you know, and then they all aspects of your body, and there's a lot of hate within society, should I say. And then and then I've seen and heard that you're not trans enough, to some, being outed, or you've also got abuse, having to deal with abuse, being outed. To many, you know, it's a really important to support one another within the trans community and be there for one another. And for that, no matter, you know, there's no joy when talking about passing for many. To many, it can be a shock to tell someone you're even trans, or even nerve-wracking before you even came out. You know, how are my parents going to act? I thought to myself when I go and tell them who I am and what I need to do and what I feel. You know, all of those feelings come into play that you need to consider as well, being outed. Not just your family, your close ones, but also with people in the public and friends and everybody else. So all that comes into play as well. And then of course you've got the community, outside the community for that, you know, all that as well. Strangers, friends, small part of society, you know, all of it being outed. So you need to think about this when talking about passing. To many, it can be a shock to tell someone, like I said. However, you know, it's what you want, and there might be a small minority that are not, shall I say, hatred towards it, and there's no joy, should I say. And you know, you're using the right name, your right pronoun, and even though I was born Lisa, my name is Lee. You know, if someone finds out, then you're outed. And I was outed at work. And it wasn't pleasant. And I spoke about this in another podcast. And, you know, I wanted to keep my life personal. That's just one example. You know, I'm living my life as a man, and that is how I should be received. That I'm just existing, living my life as a man. What I felt I should have been assigned with at birth as a man. Suffering with gender dysphoria. But we won't go into too much detail when it comes to genetics and that sort of thing. That's another topic. But this is how I should be perceived, and this is how I see myself. And you know, looking into this, and you know, it's being able to redefine realness. And it's you know, a complicated relationship to pass, and that's the way I see it for many. And I've gone through that process. It is a process, and I've gone through those emotions and those experiences. So, you know, for something you're not passing, you know, is actively engaging. Like it feels like it's trickery or deception. Having to be your true self and being outed, to be discovered of who you are. You know, and I personally get irritated engaging on the street. I go to the gym, you know, I'm a man, people take me as a man. I've already been exposed publicly. So, you know, that it's not passing now, that's just me. And I could be at the gym, for example, I'll do a workout, there's a full class of people, and there's women now, lots of women. And then I'd be the only dude in one class, I remember. And the coach Mandy would shout out, "Ladies and gents, thank you, I've been acknowledged. I'm the only dude in the class full of women, should I say, that I've attended a class, and the women seen me on TV and she's acknowledged and been respectful. I'm already outed, but I'm giving you an example that she's acknowledged that and she's accepted me that I'm doing, and she's doing her job through ethics, you know. And you know, I'm just giving you an example with regards to being outed. And if someone out there may act differently and not do that and treat you completely different, which is abusive. So I'm giving you an example here, okay? So once it's been disclosed that I'm trans, things have changed, and which you no longer become an object or even be objectified, should I say. So listen, we'll carry on with part 2 of this video podcast, and I would love you to follow me on this journey, and we'll carry on with this part 2. And you can reach me on social media, and please press the subscribe button, because I really would love to get some feedback on this, and I'm all out for like replying to any questions that people want to ask, and especially the newbie ones out there. And yeah, basically you can reach me on social media. I'm on